At some point in the course of your ministry, someone's going to grab your ear and start complaining. The goal for us, though, is that we never say anything negative about our pastors. This week we're talking about making our pastors a priority. This is the Youth Worker Daily. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Youth Worker Daily, where we hope to encourage youth workers like you with tools, tips, resources, and help so that you thrive in your ministry. My name is Jay Hyam, and this week we are in the middle of a week-long series that we're calling Making Your Pastor a Priority. And what we mean by that is, what does it look like for us to develop a relationship with our pastors, both within the office as we think about ministry, but also outside the office as we think about life and family and relationships. And so far we've talked about two things. We've talked about the importance of keeping them informed. We have talked about offering to invite them to lunch. And today is really, it's going to be a tough one because I think a lot of times we can get swept up in something that's super dangerous. And if we're not careful, we're going to find ourselves in a situation where we wish that we weren't in. And that really is this: learning to not say anything negative about our senior pastors. Now, here's what I've experienced. As you gain the trust of the people who are in your church, whether they are your leadership team, whether they are parents, whether they are just friends that you make and develop relationships with that are in the church, you're going to gain the sense that you're someone that somebody can share their complaints with. Whether it's a decision that leadership made, whether it's something that your lead pastor or someone else from the pastoral staff has said that has offended somebody or hurt somebody, there's a possibility that you might find yourself right in the target range, and someone's going to come and start filling your ear with things that are frustrating and hurtful, and you're going to find yourself in that place where you have to make a couple quick decisions. Do you engage in that conversation, or do you kind of stay neutral in that situation? Some of the other things I've also learned in ministry is the longer that you are in a church, well, the more you begin to see some of the stuff that's not always good and healthy that maybe others don't see. With that, sometimes it comes that decisions are made that maybe you don't understand, or policies drafted that maybe you don't agree with, or maybe something is said that you find that, for yourself, gosh, I wouldn't have said it that way, or I wouldn't have done it that way. And you're going to have that compulsion to then do the same thing that others are doing. You're going to want to complain. You're going to want to start arguing or putting those feelings in somebody else's ear. Well, today, what I want to encourage us to do as youth workers is to not fall into the place where we are spreading negativity about our leadership. Now, what this is not is an opportunity for us just to zip our lips and stay quiet and not do anything. I'm not going to champion for that. But I do think that when we are talking with folks from our congregation, it is super important that as part of the leadership team, we not say anything negative about the pastor, the elders, whoever your leadership is. Now, that's not to say that you're supporting what they're doing, but it is a place where you are part of that leadership team, and I think there's an expectation that while we may not support them, we're not going to throw them under the bus. I think that goes a long way for our own character and our own integrity, because we don't want to be caught up in any situation where just, the junk hits the fan, and next thing you know, you're the one being brought before the elder or the leadership, and you're now explaining your actions because you got sucked into someone else's complaint. I would instead say, if there are things that are happening within your church that leave people unhappy or frustrated or confused or just upset with something, instead of being someone who adds to the frustration, let's get biblical in how we respond to those things. So I would say this: if you find that people see you as someone that is trusted, where they can vent and argue and give you those complaints, and they just see you as somebody that's safe to do that, There's nothing wrong with being that person. But here's what I would caution us for. One, I think it's okay to simply listen. Just don't let their opinions and their thoughts really kind of shape yours. I think we just listen and we learn what they're upset about or whatever it is that they're struggling with. We just take it in and we listen. And then I think instead of offering our thoughts, I think we just simply say, you know what? I think the best thing for you during this is that you go and you speak with that person. Guys, that's biblical. When people are upset with something, when people are offended by something, we shouldn't be going to that second-hand person, that third-hand person where we're complaining. We deal with the person straight up. And I think we need to constantly be reminding the people in our church that if we're upset with something, let's go right to the source and let's deal with it there. So if someone is confiding in you and they're upset with the elders or the leadership, encourage them to go and speak to the elders. Go and speak to the leadership. If the pastor has done something or said something and you're getting an earful because of it, encourage that person to go and talk with your pastor. And encourage them to share how they're feeling. And give the eldership, the leadership, give the pastor the opportunity to address those things. I mean, they're the ones that are best to do that anyhow, not us. But your leadership team, they're the ones who should be addressing those things. And I think the same is true for us. Instead of us jumping on the bandwagon of complaining and being frustrated and just getting into that negative boat, I think our job, our role, is we need to understand why decisions are being made, why policies are being written, why things are being said. And the best place for us to do that is that we go and we talk to those people as well. Go to your elder board, go to your leadership team, go to your pastor and just say, hey, I know this is what you're saying. I get this is the new policy. Help me understand it. Help me know what you guys were thinking when you did this, when you wrote this, when you said this. I want to understand what's behind this. So just in having that conversation and you listening to them, you might understand why they made that decision. And in making that decision and understanding it, you might just resolve some of that frustration or that confusion that you're experiencing. But now back to the whole idea of not being negative towards your pastor or your leadership. There are times in ministry where your leadership, your pastor is going to have your back. For me, very early on in my ministry, we were planning to do a series on sex and dating with our students, and came across, I believe it was Doug Fields who once used this title. And Doug, if it's not you, I apologize for putting you on the hot seat here, but I think it was Doug who once said that he called his sex and dating series How to Have Great Sex. I thought that was a brilliant title. And being 25 and pushing the edges, I thought, well, I'm going to use this. And so that's what we did. We put together our 5-week series and we titled it How to Have Great Sex. Now, I thought it was great. The students got a kick out of it. We actually saw the largest number of students come to our gathering because of that title. But here's the deal. The elders were not happy with that title. The parents weren't all happy with that title. And I didn't know any of this until weeks later. But at a session meeting, at an elders meeting, they confronted the pastor with it. And instead of throwing me under the bus, he supported me. He had my back. He protected me, and he said that what we were doing was good. Yes, the title was edgy, but it was going to address very important issues that the teens were dealing with when it comes to sex and dating. And so I appreciated that he stood there and got my back and protected me in that. And I think in some ways we need to do the same thing. Your pastor needs to know that you're going to have their best interests in mind. You're not going to throw him under the bus. You're not going to rat him out. You're not going to put things in positions where he's being caught off guard. You're gonna do what you can to, one, keep him informed, and two, have that relationship with him so that you can know where he's going and have those conversations that bring you into the ideas that he's dealing with. So, guys, do your best. Don't get into the negativity that some people will have towards your pastor. Instead, do your best to support them and promote them, and do everything you can to make sure your pastors are they're being taken care of, because they're taking care of you. All right, so love to hear your thoughts on this one because I know this is going to be a little more of a controversial topic, but I would love to hear what you think about that. When it comes to the congregation making complaints, when it comes to you not understanding things that are happening, what do you do? How do you deal with those things? I sure hope you're doing them biblically, but share with me your practices, your habits, some of the things that have helped you in the past to kind of confront some of these things. Share them in the comments below. Love to learn from you. As always, guys, we're going to ask that you subscribe to the channel, and when you do, go ahead and ring the bell. That lets you know that every time we put a new video out, it goes right to your inbox, and you can watch it and stay connected with us here at the Youth Worker Daily. And as always, guys, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're super easy to find at Youth Worker Daily. That is YTH Worker Daily. Lots of fun things happening there on the social media channels. Love to have you connect with us and be a part of those things. All right, guys, that's 3 down, 2 to go. Make sure you check in for tomorrow for part 4 of this, and we'll continue moving forward. Thanks so much for watching Youth Worker Daily. We'll see you next time.